But still, for me to compare that, okay, I started here and I got to here, and that's a good life. You've done really well. And for God to say, yeah, there's actually no end to this. It's not based on where you started, even though others may have started further. There's still no end to where you're going to go with this if you continue, seeking me into that place. But so probably more recently, he's been just, the book is more about the transition from orphan to son. And he's just been clearly pointing out the things in my life that are based on an orphan spirit, based on not belonging, and probably more not belonging than anything. Like, for me, the relationship was always on the table because I didn't know what I did wrong, that my parents would drop me out of an orphanage. And so since then, I've always walked on eggshells and tried to fit in because I didn't want to make that mistake again and just be booted out again. And so as I'm transitioning through that, there's so much opening up about who I am that I don't know. I'm beginning to trust other people to speak into my life and tell me the things that they see, because as a survivor, I've always fit into whatever situation you put me in. Wherever you put me, I'll fit in there, and I won't rock the boat, and I won't be too high or too low that people would notice. I'll be just kind of in the middle, fly under the radar kind of thing. And so because of that, I honestly don't know a lot of who I am. And so as people come to me and they say, again, back to the intercessory thing, Diana's like, yeah, I think you should come to this. And I'm like, why would you want me there? But I trust her. And so I went, and the first few were like, okay, like I said, these people are weird. But yeah, now I'm starting to see that there is actually those things in me, right? And so it's been crazy. Even in the last year or two, it continues to go. But that's right. And he continues to do that in my life and to bring me through things. I'm writing a book, which I thought would never happen. Sharing with other people, sharing my story with people, and finding that it helps or it makes a difference, or being in intercessory prayer and finding people like, yeah, that's good. And I'm like, really? Me? Like, really? You think that? And it still catches me off guard. But that's still God bumping me up against that ceiling, and even to the point where he's like, there really shouldn't be a ceiling, I know my brothers and sisters say, like, you had it the easiest, and so they expect me to go further than them. But from what I understand of who I am, the initial wound is the same. The initial wound of my parents didn't want me, because kids always take that on. They did something to cause this thing. And so that begins the first question of like, what is my value if the people who are supposed to love me don't? What happens for kids as they move through foster homes is that gets reinforced, right? As they get bumped from foster home to foster home, it gets reinforced, that thought gets reinforced. But I think we all start with that thought of, who am I? That they didn't want me. And if they didn't want me, who could? This is funny because you probably won't like this. But just because you're a mother and the sense of belonging comes from a father, and it's actually not even emotional. even though the whole idea of not belonging is just, it's gut-wrenching. Like, yeah, it really is. But the way that God defeats it is by truth. He comes in and he says, you are a son. And that's it. It's done. And it takes a while for us to get that, right? And that's kind of the biggest part, is kind of undoing all these things that are orphan spirit that we have to undo. But the truth is, it is just a truth. And he just says, I have called you by name. You are my son. I have known you in your mother's womb, and all your days I have known. And so we are, because he said we are. And it doesn't really matter how I feel about that. And to tell someone whose heart is ripped out that you don't really care how they feel about it, mothers look at you kind of sideways like that. They're like, but it really is that is the truth of it. It's very similar to saying, your eyes are brown. It doesn't really matter how you feel about that, or when you wake up in the morning, I feel like my eyes are brown. Well, guess what? It is, right? And so that's how it is with God as a father. How he just kind of said it to me is like, it is. It's done.